What is up, my friends? Some pretty insane news has come out. The Acolyte has not been renewed for a Season 2. Acolyte Season 2 has been canceled. And what are you guys' thoughts on this? Personally, I could feel this coming. Like, I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. There was an article that was released during this announcement. I think it was from Deadline. Yeah, it was from Deadline. And this was the exclusive announcement. The story of the Acolyte will not continue, with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season of the Star Wars offshoot starring Amanda Stenberg. Sources tell Deadline. The news is not entirely surprising. The Acolyte did okay with critics, with 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, but divided Star Wars fans, which was reflected in its overall viewership. And you can go on to read this article. There are a lot of interesting little tidbits, but, something to note, if you're not familiar with what happened to the Acolyte Season 1, what happened with the numbers, basically, the first 2 episodes came out, and there was this massive spike. Like, a ton of people tuned in, and then slowly but surely, things just trailed off, leading to a finale, which I believe was the least watched finale in Star Wars television history so far. And I wanted to talk about this because I've been following it online. A lot of people have had a lot of different things to say. Guys, I try to stay off of Star Wars Twitter, but I just can't help it. And there are people saying, this is what happens when your show sucks ass. And there are also people saying, great, the fandom menace won. The Acolyte is canceled. They're the ones ruining Star Wars, not Disney. They're getting what they want, so they have to throw a tantrum like the man babies they are and ruin things for the rest of us. I was really hoping for Season 2. And I'm not nearly as emotional about all this as a lot of people, I guess. Like I said, you could see this coming, and it's purely just because business is business. I watched The Acolyte. I watched it with you guys. I reacted to every single episode, and I was having fun. Episode 5 hit this peak for me where I was like, dang, this show does have a lot of potential. And then, for me, in my opinion, it just trailed off and went in a direction that I wasn't that much of a fan of. I still had fun, kind of maintained that level of fun throughout the rest of the season, but truly, I did not have much interest in any of the characters by the end of it, and I really wasn't too interested in setting up a Season 2. Not even a Darth Plagueis cameo or a Yoda cameo could really elevate that excitement for me to care so much about a Season 2. And obviously there are people out there that were big fans of this show that are very sad about this, and that's understandable. It sucks when your favorite show gets canceled. Like, that's never a fun feeling, but this is just something that happens when your show is not profitable, when your show is one of the least viewed on Disney Plus, and when you're one of the biggest, most recognizable IPs in the entire world. That stuff matters. It does. People can compare this to other TV shows all they want. Like, well, you see other TV shows that, have crappy first seasons and they get greenlit and they deserve to have the chance, but like, this is Star Wars, and they've already had a lot of turmoil. The entire fan base is not satisfied. Just the fact that it is divided and people are mad at each other, and even with this getting canceled, people are calling each other names and blaming each other because of that. That just shows in itself that things are not in a good place. And I think this is a really great opportunity. You cancel Season 2 of this show because it didn't perform well. You do have some plans heading into the future, but I think more than anything, just like Marvel did, Star Wars needs to sit back and reevaluate and analyze what the hell they are doing. Because truly, if you put your feelers out there, again, there are a lot of people that, enjoyed The Acolyte and have enjoyed a lot of what's been putting out. But like, if you get the vast majority of people are just starting to not care so much about Star Wars. It's becoming just another franchise. And that's not what you want to see. That's not Episode 7 level hype. And this is all coming from the give the sequel trilogy a second chance dude. Like, I would give my life defending Kylo Ren and the choices that Luke Skywalker made in The Last Jedi. I love some of what Disney Star Wars has done, and I also don't like some of what Disney Star Wars has done, but if they're going to be financially successful, and they're going to head into the future and have this IP last for years and years and years in a big way and be a part of the cultural zeitgeist, like, they need to get their shit together. The Acolyte, for me, as I was watching it, was a fun time, but have you ever seen an episode of Lost, or have you ever seen an episode of Succession? And I know it's hard to compare something like Succession to The Acolyte, but watch an episode of Succession. Look at how well written and well put together that show is. Watch an episode of Band of Brothers. When you see a level of quality that's attainable throughout television, throughout the medium of television, that's been attainable for all of these years, and then you watch a couple of the episodes of The Acolyte, like, yeah, there's the excuse of we're just trying to entertain kids, but even shows that are trying to attract attract young adults. Stranger Things, for instance, can have massive success. The Acolyte just isn't that. Like, I'm sure somebody can dig up a really well nuanced and beautiful quote that came out of the show, but it's just because they were just plugging it into random moments in the show and trying to act like things were more powerful than they actually were, while not giving the characters the proper time to really breathe. Like, there's a lot going on in that show, and again, by the end of it, I was just kind of checked out, and so that's why I can see that this is not going to get a second season. I feel bad for any creatives that were involved and they're not going to get to come back. People like Amanda Stenberg as well, the actors and actresses that were a part of this show. I feel bad. They're not going to get to reprise those roles, but I think it's very understandable, and this is one of the first steps, the first evidence that I have that maybe Star Wars is starting to evaluate. Maybe they're starting to listen to the fan base a little bit. I'm talking about really understanding the data that they're receiving, really getting a pulse on their fan base and trying to kind of counteract this toxicity that has taken place. Because sometimes it feels like Star Wars is being made for you and not for you, and then this Star Wars is being made for you and not for you. And I hope that we can start getting projects that are coming out that are just entertaining to everyone. Back to the basics. Good stories, good characters that we can all be invested in, and good Star Wars. A New Hope is not that complicated. It really is not. And I personally, I thought that Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, they really had something good going with that. It's just, in the recent years, Star Wars is kind of like strayed away from the things that have made them so successful in the past. And so, yeah, it's a shame for some people that the Acolyte Season 2 isn't going to be around and they're not going to get to see it, but I think that this is going to be for the best. But you guys let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this entire situation? Are you sad that this happened? Are you happy that this happened? Leave all your thoughts down below. Be kind to one another and keep up the good vibes, my friends. Peace!